ever wondered how you can walk into the hair salon with one hair color and come out with another? As a girl who's frequently been in and out of the salon, I am a culprit of getting my hair done. I know lots of people don't like to say their hair isn't completely natural, but I think it is a very interesting way to change your appearance. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because the science behind hair coloring is much more fascinating than most people realize. Today, I'll be going through the step-by-step process of how a cosmetologist can change your hair and explaining how it all happens. Let's begin with the makeup of the strand of hair. First, we'll look at the singular strand of a hair. There are 3 primary parts in your hair. In the article, How Do Different Types of Hair Dye Work, written by Michelle Wong, the medulla is the center core of the hair. The cortex surrounds, you can see the white area, which is the medulla, or the cortex, and it contains most of the pigment and melanin that gives your hair your color. The cuticle is the outer layer and is made up of lots of overlapping dead cells. You can see them right here, and which protects the inner layer of the hairs. When the cell lies flat, it bounces, light will bounce off your hair and it makes it look shiny. There are a few different types of hair dye and properties that go with it. Temporary, permanent, and bleaching. First, we'll start with permanent hair dye. Permanent tends to not fade or wash out, unlike semi or temporary color. Temporary color tends to fade and only lasts a few weeks. Permanent and temporary hair color stops oxidizing after a certain time. Meanwhile, the bleach keeps oxidizing until the hair color is until it is washed off of the hair. Bleaching completely breaks down your hair, causing the natural melanin to dissolve, which makes the hair lighter. The process of permanent hair dyeing and semi-permanent hair dyeing are a little bit different from each other. Now we'll walk through the steps of permanent hair dyeing. First, the hair shaft needs to be opened. This is how it starts. It starts off closed, and then it needs to be opened with a substance like an alkaline chemical, which is ammonia. Many add it to their hair dye. Next, bleaching of the hair is normally required, and they use hydrogen peroxide to lighten the hair, but it is normally mixed into their dyes, and it is colorless. As the dye soaks into the cortex through the gaps of the previously opened cuticle, you can see right here, the precursor molecules within the hair shaft react with each other. The hydrogen peroxide and ammonia in the previous steps form a larger molecule which cannot be washed out as easily. After washing the hair dye out of the cuticle, the hair needs to be closed and sealed again. Men use an acidic conditioner to close the cuticle again. This helps lock it into the cortex. On the other hand, when using temporary dye, the cuticle is not opened. Michelle Wong states the dye molecules are attached to the outside of the hair shaft, which means that the color washes off easily. Semi-permanent and temporary permanent do have a slight difference. Semi does open the cuticle just a little bit. The dye sticks to the outside, allowing some to absorb into the cortex, but it does not penetrate the hair as much as the permanent hair dye will. Now we'll look into the step-by-step process of bleaching. The process of bleaching and lightening hair is a very different process than just dyeing. First step is the hair needs to be broken down, what makes up the hair color is your melanin. Melanin is what makes up natural hair color. The bleach needs to be mixed with a substance like hydrogen peroxide to become an alkaline substance. This proceeds to make the cuticle of the hair softer, causing the hair shaft to swell, letting the bleach soak through. After the bleach is in the hair shaft, it can then begin to lighten and dissolve the melanin. There are 2 different factors of melanin in hair. Sarah Oglesby states that the melanin transfer in small granules to the cortex of the hair shaft. These granules are associated with 2 types of melanin. E-melanin is the black and brown pigments, and faux melanin are the red and yellow pigments. The black and brown pigments are easier for the bleach to dissolve than red and yellow pigments. There are many different components that are thought out when bleaching hair. Things like hair elasticity, hair texture, and hair type can play a whole different role into how the hair reacts. If the hair is overtreated with the bleach, it can cause damage, which destroys or damages the cuticle and the cortex of this strand of hair, causing brittle and breakable hair. The longer the bleach is on the strand of hair, the lighter the hair will be. So time management is a very key factor to the art of hair. The process of changing hair color is a form of art and creativity, not just a job. Changing your hair isn't just a fun little game. There's a whole scientific process behind it. Whether you're going lighter or trying something darker, a chemical process is required with much precision and practice to be done right. Now that you can see the step-by-step process of changing your hair, maybe you'll want to try it too. I hope this inspires you to go out and try something new now that you've seen the process. Thank you for listening today. I hope you learned something new that you didn't know before about hair. I can't